Hello, good morning, Linda. Welcome to Accountants Are Sexy, Change My Mind. Now, this is Linda Carrington from Wessex Commercial Solutions. Linda, give me a little bit of an intro about who you are and what Wessex Commercial Solutions do.
Okay, so at Wessex Commercial, we help business owners by integrating their sales platforms with Xero and automating data entry. It's all about us supporting them to make informed decisions, to improve their profits and get some time back for themselves. I'm particularly interested in helping businesses who are expanding their online sales and to make sure that growth isn't at the expense of profits. But actually, I feel I've got a bit of imposter syndrome today because, as you know, I'm not an accountant. I'm one of the directors and shareholders in the practice, but I have spent my career avoiding becoming either a lawyer or an accountant. I nearly joined a Big Four firm after university, but got the opportunity to go into industry, and I jumped at that because I really like to kind of get my hands in really. And I studied law mid-career, so I've avoided both of those careers. But here I am as practice management director of an accountancy practice.
Yeah, it's quite a ride for you. I mean, obviously we've been working together for quite some time now, so I know your business relatively intimately, some might say. But you're definitely you're definitely the pillar, or one of the pillars in the business, and you kind of make sure that things happen and everything gets done. So whilst you're not an accountant, like Graham says, you're kind of an accountant because you know so much stuff.
I think one of the advantages that I've got is that I can see things both from a practice perspective, but I also look at things from the business owner's perspective. Yeah. I really try to understand what our clients are looking for from us. So I'm kind of trying to bridge the gap, I guess, between the clients and the firm. Yeah. And the other part of my passion is technology. I think I'm of an age where I was never encouraged particularly to get into technology when I was at school or pursue it as a career.
Not even on the BBC computers.
Ironically, because I've got the equivalent of an A-level in computer science and maths. But I was never encouraged to pursue that. Even more ironically, because my mum was a bit of a pioneer and studied computer science in the early 70s. But although I've never sort of pursued it as a career in itself, yeah. I've always had a passion for technology. I spent quite a lot of time during lockdown last year studying data science and Python, which was the first time I got into coding for a while. But yeah, that was good fun. So I'm really into that sort of stuff, and I'm particularly keen that we use technology to save people time.
Yeah.
I mean, let me give you an example. A few years ago, one of our team was off at one of the accounting conferences and came back and was telling me all about this bookkeeping software that we could use that was going to machine read your data. And I was so skeptical at the time, but thought it's worth a try. We did what we always do at Wessex. We run the software ourselves. We treat ourselves as the guinea pigs. Because we want to know that it really works before we recommend things to clients. And I was amazed at how well it worked. I got it reading my handwriting, which is an absolute scribble.
Wow. Handwriting.
And yeah, it is very much. So we adopted it and started pushing it out to our clients. And that was several years ago now. And I think one of my frustrations is that we're still in a position where small businesses are out there doing paperwork, they're doing data entry, they're having to keep paper files, they're keeping, or even if it's not paper files, you know, they've got digital records all over the place.
Yeah.
These systems make it so easy for them, but you know, it takes a sort of helping hand really to get set up, and just a sort of light touch to keep on top of those systems.
So, I mean, technology is definitely one of the major changes in the accounting world over the past, I would say 7 years, but that's because I had my first accounting client 7 years ago. So, but you've been in the game longer than I. So when did technology start to kind of change the industry?
Not much longer. It wasn't much further or longer before that. We started as a consultancy practice, or a consultancy business rather than accountancy practice. What happened is we were helping clients make business decisions based on the information that they had, and that evolved into providing management accounts for them. And then we got into a position where people were saying, well, you're doing the management accounts, why don't you just do the compliance stuff? And at the time we had, you know, my colleague had a practicing certificate. We were technically a firm of chartered accountants at that point. So we kind of bit the bullet and took on the whole lot. But so we've done it from a different way round from most businesses. So we've had the luxury, I'm going to call it, of starting from a kind of clean sheets. And when we got into management accounts, we got onto Xero very early. At the time, it was the market leader. It's still the best product in the market for businesses of a particular size. And it's put a lot of information in the hands of business owners. And I suppose one of the challenges with that is that they then have to, you know, how do they get the best out of that information, out of that system? And this is one of the frustrations that that people come to us with, is what happened when Making Tax Digital came in a few years ago. There was a massive push by big practices to get their clients onto Xero. And what happened was they got them set up, they perhaps put some opening balances on and said, here's a really powerful tool, off you go. And people were kind of you know, fumbling around in the dark, really, not knowing exactly how to get the best out of their system. And that's something that at, you know, every stage when we're working with clients, we're always looking at how they use Xero, and asking ourselves if we think they're getting the best out, but also being there for them to come to us and say, we'd like to try doing this, or we've got a problem with this area, and know that they've got people on the other end who are actually using Xero themselves and understand and can answer those questions and help them.
Yeah, I think when what I've seen with some accountants is they say we're Xero practitioners. So they put Xero at the front because it's a nice shiny little label, and it looks modern and it feels modern, but it's the practices underneath that label that really hold them back. So they're not using the software to its fullest capacity. They're not using it in the way that it can support different types of clients, and they don't understand the variety of things that it can do. But they still put this nice shiny label at the front, and it's almost, gosh, it's almost like false advertising.
Yeah, it's really frustrating.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, even sort of, I had a conversation last week with a new client who was told when we were doing the handover with their previous accountant, they were told that there was still some paperwork for them to sign. And we had a conversation. I said, well, you know, we've been through the pandemic. They'll probably send it out now for e-signature. They wouldn't have before the pandemic, but you know, since that all kind of kicked off, and and we got an email later saying that they would arrange for the documents to be posted the next business day. And this is a firm, this is a big firm that is a one of a Xero partner, and I just would have thought they would be doing things digitally now.
Yeah.
So huge frustration for our new client, but
Isn't it weird? I mean, when I hired a Kickstarter, I had no contemplation of paper. When I put the contract together, it was always going to go on a digital signature. Like there was no question of it, because the world has just changed.
Yeah.
Like the technology makes things so easy, and it's not. And what would I do with a piece of paper? Like I honestly don't know where I'd put it.
No. And I think we're so used to, in our personal lives and as consumers, operating digital processes. It does frustrate people when at work, they come into work and perhaps it's a stock management system that's got a kind of big paper-based element to it, or the process of allocating staff. But that's one of those are some of the projects that we take on for clients, is to help them find a solution, get it set up and integrate it with their Xero accounts, just to eliminate that paperwork. And sometimes it takes that outside person as well, looking at what's been done in the business, and questioning why a particular it might be a spreadsheet is in place, or some paperwork is in place. I think one of the challenges that businesses have is that they're so immersed in their own business that they're constantly working, constantly keeping up with deadlines, customer requirements, supply issues, staffing issues. There isn't necessarily time to step back and think strategically. So I think our clients find it helpful to have someone look at what they're doing and say, well, do you need to be doing that? Or you've got this shiny new system over here. Couldn't we put that checklist or process or step that needs to be completed into that new system, and just make things a little bit more streamlined?
Yeah, and sometimes it's work up front, but for a long-term gain.
Yeah, and that, I mean, that's something we're really quite mindful of at Wessex with our pricing model is, we have monthly billing for clients. To me, as a non-accountant, to me, it makes it so much easier to understand what your regular outgoings are in your business when you've got a regular fee for your accountant and it's fixed. It doesn't matter if you call us up half a dozen times in that month. That's absolutely fine.
Scary bills will arrive just because you picked up the phone.
Exactly. I mean, I want our clients to be ringing us and telling us if they're concerned about something, or if they've got a new idea, or just if something doesn't quite make sense. I mean, sometimes things make sense to people in an accountancy practice that don't to the rest of the world.
Absolutely. I mean, in my experience, I have no idea, and I deal with accountants all day, every day. I still don't understand my own accounting, and I don't want to, and I don't want to learn your job. I want to know that you've got my back, or that the accountant has got my back and can explain things to me in layman's terms. And if I have a question, I want to be able to get it answered. And as a consumer of accounting, that's pretty much it. I just need to feel secure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've kind of looked at how we communicate with our clients over the last few years, and we've put in place various different options, because different people, you've got one particular approach, other people will like to communicate with us in a different way. So, we've got everything from our support email, we've got live chat on our website, people can pick up the phone. We do, obviously, we do a lot more video calls than we've ever done, which I kind of find a bit weird, because we've been running a virtual office for over a decade.
Yeah.
And in some respects, I remember when the pandemic hit, thinking, oh, it's just going to be business as usual for us, albeit I know that clients are under huge pressure, and we're going to have our work cut out to, keep them up to date with the support available and help them. I kind of thought in some respects it was going to be normal operations, but actually video has.
Yeah, so you think about it from their perspective,
video has changed.
Yeah, from their perspective, it's all that's a new thing for them.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't, and now everyone, like, who phones people these days? I had a phone call the other day, and that was just like super weird. Like, I couldn't see their face or their expressions, and it was odd. So yeah, I've been working on Zoom for years as well, but the willingness and the understanding of just, let's get that done, it's definitely changed. So let's talk. You have so I just want to change tack a minute. I've got a question to ask about the consultancy side. Now, you guys started as a consultancy and you went into compliance, which is typically the upside down way of doing this. There are, let's say it's a buzzword, advisory services, buzzword at the moment. Lots of people are telling accountants that if they don't offer advisory services, then they're going to lose business, and so on and so forth. Do you think that's right? Do you think every accountant now needs to have an advisory arm?
I think it depends on the clients that you're dealing with. I'm actually don't think. For me, the idea of advisory work being radically separate from other accountancy services seems a bit odd. I know when you're dealing with really technical specialist areas, you need those specialists, and at Wessex, when there's something really niche comes in, we outsource and we work with specialist practices. But for me, the advisory side of things is absolutely integral to what we do, and the compliance is almost the top up, if you like. But I think it's just a mindset of what you're there to do for your clients, and we're not just there to process things. And I think compliance, in some respects, compliance is getting easier with digital technology, but in other respects, that there's more of it. There are more areas in business where we need to comply, whether it's financial or safety or
and there's compliance, and then there's tax planning. They're different things.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we do at Wessex is we've got a team approach. So rather than, I think business owners will often have an experience where they've got perhaps a partner that they've got the relationship with. They may not know the team who are doing the legwork that well, but we've got much more of a team approach, and our clients get to know more of the team, have different points of contact for different kind of questions. But I think one of the challenges has always been, we've always priced on value, because the nature of the
your value.
And we've always done projects to help people improve profits, where they can understand what the margins are that they've got particular lines, and understand how they can, I'm going to use the word optimize, but optimize the word profit in their business. whereas I think a traditional approach would obviously have been, it's going to take me so many hours to do or prepare a set of accounts or prepare a set of tax returns, and I'm going to charge an hourly rate, and there's the fee, and it doesn't build in any kind of flexibility for advisory.
And isn't it bonkers that it could take you longer and you'd get paid more?
I just, that's absolutely it. And I sometimes have conversations about the technology that we're helping clients to put in place, and I'll be honest, I want to save our team time. I don't want them to be doing spending a lot of time doing repetitive tasks.
Yeah,
because I would like them to have that a little bit more free time to have proper conversations with clients and to be looking at talking through the issues with them, rather than the classic one is on reporting or data entry. We've done a lot of work recently on the data entry side of things, where clients are using, let's say, an online sales platform, where either there's perhaps an integration to Xero that's prohibitively expensive, or there isn't an integration that's going to work really well. We've done a lot of work in-house to automate the kind of data manipulation so that it can go into Xero nice and smoothly.
Yeah.
And that frees up our team's time to have conversations with people.
Yeah, some well-meaning, valuable discussions.
Yeah.
And I think the benefit there is you will lose less clients because you're spotting the voids and the gaps before they become a problem. And that's when you have once again, working with accountants, they typically say, oh well, we need these larger clients, we need this, we need this. These larger clients that they're going after, if they're not startups, they've got accountants in place. Now, if they've got accountants in place, then there's going to have to be something wrong in order for them to need to change, that you don't change. Even if you move from the south of England to the north of England, you don't have to change accountants now, because everything's so easy. So if you allow the time, and if you free up the time in order to talk to them, you're going to spot those gaps before there's an issue. And that's an area of marketing which I don't think people seem to understand. It's the communication strategy that you need to get right for retention.
It's really difficult. I mean, I think one of the things that we struggle with is, our team are working really hard behind the scenes, doing lots of good work for clients, solving all sorts of problems. But I really have to dig quite deep to get those stories from my colleagues, because they're sort of quietly getting the job done, and they don't realise that there is something to shout about. So that's a challenge that I have to work with on the marketing side of things.
Yeah.
Get those
don't you worry, you've got a good coach. So let's now you've raised the topic of marketing, let's go into your marketing journey. Obviously, you've dealt with a wide breadth of different types of clients, but where's your focus right now?
We are focusing on businesses who are doing a level of online retail. It may be clients that have got a kind of mixed portfolio of on-premises, online, perhaps events type things as well. And our regional focus, but although we do a lot of stuff online, we like to be able to see people. So we work mostly with people in Devon, South Devon in particular, Somerset, Cornwall, that kind of geographical area. And generally, I think the businesses that we're working with are employing a small team of staff, so maybe half a dozen people, and are growing their business. But I think one of I think that the people that we particularly want to talk to are the ones who are growing but not necessarily seeing that profit growth. So I mean, I've got this real thing about the glamorization of turnover and revenue. It frustrates me when you hear people talk about, you know, a £1 million business, a £10 million business. Yeah. I don't really care that much how much the turnover is. I want to know that it's a profitable yeah. business. I know in the tech industry there's a kind of glamorization of you know, getting a startup up to a particular level of turnover, but you've got to...
Don't get me wrong, when I turn over £1 million, I'm going to be happy, but if I turn over £1 million and I've only got like a pittance in the bank, I'm not going to be as happy as I could be.
Exactly. And one of the things that I find really frustrating when I you know, hear from businesses who have grown their business but have basically what they do is they'll grow their business, get more stressed because you know, they've got much more to manage, they've got more people, more problems to solve. Yeah.
Different revenue streams as well. That's something that you're dealing with that they might not have too much experience in.
Yeah. So, you know, I want those people to be, you know, if they're growing, it's got to be profitable growth. And if they need to, you know, scale back for a little bit, that's absolutely fine too. But getting the balance, I think that one of the things that we spend a lot of time with clients on is getting the balance of particular parts of their business. Sometimes the bits that you know maybe you like are the most attractive sounding parts of the you know, business opportunities aren't always the most lucrative from a profit perspective. Yeah.
And then you have to take into consideration the variables as well. So as an example, the marketing reviews that I offer typically aren't very profitable because I spend a ton of time on it, but they're part of your funnel. So if it's a lead in, and I suppose you deal with all different types of products and services, but if it's a lead in, you have to take that into consideration. And that's not something you can see by numbers, is it? It's something that you have to interpret, and that's where your consulting comes in.
Yeah, and we've got a sort of a mixture of offers, if you like, out there for new clients. One is really easy for them to do it online as a scorecard. So it's the profitable e-commerce retailer. Yeah. We've also got, so that will give them a snapshot of how they're doing in terms of in various different parts of their business, and we'll show them which parts they can focus on to improve their profits. And the other one that we have on offer is a Xero and business review, and as you said, it's a low cost option for people, and you know, we'll look into Xero with them, and we'll look at how they're using the technology, we'll look at how their business is doing, and give them our initial thoughts on what they can do to save themselves time and also improve the profitability of their business.
Absolutely. We will add links to those to this podcast or to the where it's going out. So tell me, and I really want to dip into this, and we're running out of time. So what's been your most favourite part of marketing?
I certainly enjoyed working with you. That's been great. I enjoyed working with you.
I'll do the discount off the next month.
Thank you. Actually, I'll tell you why I enjoy working with you. Because you know, I've always kind of done the marketing side of things at Wessex. I'm the person who gets everything that's not accounts or tax. So obviously marketing comes into my remit. So I'll have these ideas on what we could do, and that it's kind of me on my own in the firm saying, oh, I've got this idea, let's do it. It's been really good having you as a coach to kind of go, or to say, actually, yeah, it's a really good idea, go for it. And
Oh,
that helps me no end.
yeah. See, honestly, I thought you were just going to go into TikTok. This is where I thought that question was going to go.
Well, I have enjoyed making some TikToks. Yeah, so I'm one of those people that joined TikTok during the pandemic, and it's the place. It's, you know, people who are not on TikTok go, oh my goodness, TikTok. People who are on TikTok realize how powerful it is. But as a format, it's just really fun and snappy. It's really, really engaging, and that's why people get hooked. And just on the business side of TikTok, they did an announcement recently that they're doing a collaboration partnership with Shopify.
Oh, wow.
TikTok, people are going to be selling on TikTok. It sounds they'll be doing it in a much more powerful way than Instagram or Facebook. This is the way social selling is going to go.
I feel like I'm being educated.
No, it's really new. It's only because I'm a TikTok addict that I picked up on this one. But this is the way it's going to go. People want to feel that connection with a brand, and TikTok helps build those connections. And I know I've bought from TikTok accounts that I follow. Had I been able to do that just by clicking on a product featured on a TikTok, probably would have.
Yeah.
It would be so easy.
I think you raised a really good question, really. So there are different tactics of marketing for different types of businesses. So you've got social selling, which you've just mentioned. It's not easy, is it? It's not the easiest thing to do.
And I think that's one of the hardest things about as an accountancy practice. We haven't got a shiny product we can photograph, or wear in a video, or you know. So our product is very it's difficult because it's really intangible. So it's a, you know, selling a service like this is something that
it's almost conceptual. And you have to sell the transition that you're going to take people through. But for an accountant, and this is why niching your marketing is so vital for an accountant, you could have tons of different transitions that you're taking all different types of clients through at any one stage. How can you get that across? I don't think it's that easy. You can say something vague like, we help your business grow, but that's not really like going to get people in the fields, is it?
Exactly. I think we've got to tap into how people feel when they join as a client at Wessex, and the confidence that they get knowing that you know, they're using, we're saving them time on the technology side of things, and we are helping them to understand how they can get the best out of their business. So yeah, but it is a hard it is a hard sell, and I think there's I don't know, there's maybe a slightly old-fashioned kind of approach that says that kind of kicks back against selling professional services. It says maybe they should sell themselves. People know what they need, and I don't really agree with that. We've got to differentiate ourselves, and we've got to communicate to our potential clients the difference that
and not just tell them, you need to prove it as well. This is going back to their conversation earlier about getting the conversations from your team, what's happening in your clients' businesses, like this social proof and evidence that actually you're working with people and they feel good is vital for you guys. You know my opinions on this.
Oh, I completely agree, and I think that's one of the other things I think we try to do, we probably can do more of, is just having the whole team involved in marketing in different ways and supporting our marketing strategy.
Yeah.
Because it's not just one person's job. It's got to be a whole team going in the same direction.
Yeah, and feeling a part of it as well. Yeah. So I think that's all we've got time for, which is like horrendous because I could actually talk to you all day. But there is a final question that I have for you. So what is the sexiest thing about accounting?
For me, it's technology. I love the technology, and you know, I love looking at things from the perspective of data. So yeah, that's a very personal perspective on it. I'm sure my colleagues would say something different.
Well, they haven't appeared on a podcast yet, so we shall see. I might go and badger Ellie.
Yeah, I love to see, to talk to Graham and Ellie in particular and see them in action, looking at particular clients, and I like one of the things that I particularly like is running scenarios, looking at what happens if we make particular changes, focus on a particular business stream, for example, what difference that makes to profitability. That for me that's them working their magic. I'm going to get excited about technology, but I love when they do that.
That's good. So I know from seeing your content and from your looking at your journey, profit margins, understanding revenue streams, understanding what's profitable, what's not profitable, why it's profitable, and how to maximize your the potential of the business is fundamental to everything that you do. And you don't take on clients that don't want that in their business.
Exactly.
So once again, I really appreciate you coming on, Linda. Thank you ever so much. Just give me a quick, tell me where people can find you. Where's the best place for people to get hold of you?
So wessexcommercial.com, and we've got live chat on there, our links to all our social platforms. And get in touch with us whichever way you prefer.
You are open. Right, thank you very much.
Lovely. Thanks, Kelly.